I worked at Microsoft for 2.5 years and I enjoyed all of it. The city, the job, the people, my boss, the work, all of it was rewarding and fulfilling, and honestly, there was never a time I wasn't proud to be working there or excited to go to work. And despite all of that, I still quit. This is the story of why.
I feel like finding a purpose in life is a lot like climbing a mountain without a map. You're gonna get lost, you're gonna stumble, it's gonna be tough, but if you never start, you'll never reach the top. You see, I've always loved video games, and if you click this video, you probably do too. You get it. The passion and the love. And for me, it started as a kid. It shaped my childhood. Now, my parents were pretty great about it. If I got homework done, I could play video games, and I did. They didn't always approve.
You guys can stop that game now for now.
But that never seemed to stop me. I kept playing. It really shaped my childhood. And by the way, this guy, he's important to the story. But we'll get back to him. The point is, I was obsessed, just like everybody else.
My parents were very supportive, but they were very school-focused, so it never once crossed my mind that I could make video games for a living. You see, for the first 18 years, I thought I was going to be a doctor. Both my parents were doctors, so I just naturally assumed that was my future. It never once crossed my mind to actually shadow them. As a naive teenager, you're kind of preoccupied with other things, mostly dumb shit. And so, when I actually finally shadowed my dad, I immediately knew this was not my calling in life. It didn't excite me the same way photography, art, or playing video games excited me. So I knew I had to switch. But to what?
When you're on that mountain trying to find your path, you're turned around, sometimes backtracking to the bottom is the only way to start.
So I switched to physics and computer science, and it felt right. Don't get me wrong, it was hard as shit. And if you want to meet girls, the worst possible thing to do.
You'd probably have better odds at a Magic the Gathering tournament. See? There's a girl in this picture. See? See? But I never struggled with motivation, so I knew I was on the right track. I worked hard, I graduated, and I found myself with the job. Microsoft. I thought this was it. I'd found the path and reached the top of the mountain. The journey was done. So I packed my bags and moved to Seattle. And for 2.5 years, I was building Windows for embedded systems, an operating system that ran robots, thermostats, farming sensors, and the operating system that ran the BB-8 toy. And much cooler than my incredibly underwhelming and awkward first ever YouTube video that 400,000 people have watched. Hi everyone, my name is Steven from the Windows team, and today I'm going to show you the LED is now blinking. Thanks guys.
I was really enjoying myself at Microsoft, but it wasn't the only thing I had going on. You remember that kid from the picture? That's my best friend Robert. We just never stopped being best friends.
And when I graduated, Robert, myself, and my classmate Kyle had decided to make a small game on our spare time. It was a puzzle game for mobile about rolling triangles around. I don't even play mobile games, but I liked making it so much I couldn't wait to leave work to go home and do more work. I was obsessed. It was all I was doing in my free time. So here I was, lost on the mountain again. I could see the top, but I was questioning if this was the right path for me. There was this tug of war in my mind. I really like working at Microsoft, but I love making video games. The same question came popping up. Should I quit?
And at some point, I just knew the answer. But you can't just recklessly quit. The last time we did something reckless, we almost got headbutted by mountain goats. Story for another time. So I came up with a game plan.
First, the risk assessment. The fact is, roughly 9 out of 10 games on Steam are not profitable. There are 8,000 games released every single year, and approximately 600 of them made enough money to pay one person a decent salary, assuming the game takes 2 years to make. That 600 includes AAA games like PUBG and CSGO. You do not need to be a genius to know those are shit odds. However, This is not craps, you're not rolling the dice. With the right game plan, you can stack the odds in your favor. So here's my game plan. First, the backup plan, the plan of attack, the reliable partner, and the fight like hell. So first, you need a backup plan. I had to reduce expenses drastically. I still wanted to have money saved up in case shit went south. And I recognized how risky of a career move this was and planned accordingly, which meant moving back home with my dad, selling my dream car, and stereotypically working out of my parents' basement. Next was the plan of attack. You see, very few people make money on their first game. Why? Well, if you've ever tried to do anything ever, the second time around is always better than the first, and usually a ton better, and this is true for making games. So I finished my game, I put it out the door, and financially it did okay. Doing the math, I think it made something ridiculous like 50 cents an hour. However, people loved it. It has a nearly 5-star review worldwide, and most games don't do that. And that was our first try. So imagine the second round, I was gonna nail it. I was gonna make a game more marketable, more beautiful, and better in every way. And that's how we came up with our survival meets automation game, Atrio. Third, I needed a reliable partner. Luckily, I've had the pleasure of working with Kyle all through university, and he was working on Disjoint with me, so it was only natural that we work on our next game together. He also happens to be a former aerials Olympic athlete, which is pretty sick. Robert had gotten a huge promotion at the bank he was working at, so he decided to take a step back from game dev, and it was up to Kyle and I to pair up. With the partner figured out, it was time for the final step of the plan. You gotta be ready to fight like hell for your dream, because doing whatever it takes with good planning is what creates success. And if that means stepping out of your comfort zone and making bad jokes on YouTube, I'm gonna do it. Staying super focused, even if your squad wants to play Call of Duty, you gotta say no. Well, most of the time. Recognizing that you think better when you hit the gym on the regular basis, and getting my ass to the gym every single day. And I stuck to it. I meant it. And to make this work, I would have to work hard and smart, and with that, the plan was done.
So I did it. I quit. I moved back home to where it all began, the mountains. And my parents' basement, but also the mountains. And for 2.5 years, Kyle and I have been climbing, and we've made so much progress in the game. And yeah, it's not prestigious like Microsoft. And I moved back home, and I sold my dream car. You know what? I've never been happier.
Sometimes it never feels like you're making progress until you crest the ridge and look down at the mountains and see just how far you've come. And that's why I named my company after a mountain, Mount Isto, to remind me that when you finally find your path, you're only halfway. That mountain is not going to climb itself, and the peak is not what it's all about. It's about the journey.
I have finally found my path, and I've just started climbing. And if I have my way, I will never stop making video games.
If you want to talk about reducing budget, I built this homemade panner just with my hand and this counterweight at the back. And when I let go, the whole thing just slides. Brilliant.